We are going deep
All
with
right.
a man named Gus, and Gus does 50,000 outbound dials every single day by yourself, right? Just you alone and you and a phone, 50,000 dials.
Well, some people help me. Some people help me.
Okay, okay, just checking. So Gus runs a company called Power ISA. They make 50,000 outbound dials a day, and better than that, they book about 100 appointments a day. So this is 10-minute labs. Those of you watching on a Friday night, this is the hardcore crew. Holiday weeks, right? I love it. Gus is standing in the streets of Houston. He had to go find Wi-Fi to he found a brick wall and Wi-Fi, and we're ready to rock.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes, and we'll just dive in, right? You good with that?
Yep. Let's go, man.
Let's do it. All right. Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes. It's thinking. It's thinking. There we go. There's our timer set for 10 minutes. Let's put you in the hot seat. All right, Gus.
Right.
You make 50,000 outbound dials a day. You book 100 appointments a day with Power ISA. What keeps you awake at night?
What keeps me awake? Oh, you have a team. Your team is built on people, and so we rely on our people, right? So people having a sick day, people, my kid is sick and I can't go to work today. So I mean, we rely on our people. So people events, having one too many people events any one given day, that definitely keeps me up at night, right? The people, and also internet, right? We're all working from home, so the reliability of the people's home internet connection, that definitely can definitely worries me from time to time for sure.
I love it. And what do you obsess over? Like you guys book, like if you book 100 appointments a day, it didn't happen by accident. What do you obsess over to get that sort of results?
It's really about working the basics at scale, role play every day, coaching at least once a week, 1 hour of coaching per person to work on whatever they need. Everyone is working on something. So you can never assume that when someone's doing the role at a high level, they're just going to stay that way. People have ups and downs. So we always have to work those basics, those fundamentals, as if you were like an athlete, right? You're working on those fundamentals and you're always working out every day, even though you're a world-class athlete. Same kind of principle.
Interesting. And so does that apply to I mean, a lot of agents are watching this, brokers. Would that apply for them too? I imagine then, like, would you give the same advice?
Absolutely, because if you don't have an ISA on your team, you are the ISA as a real estate agent, right? So maybe you're not doing an hour of role play and an hour of coaching every week, but you should be doing role play every week. You should have someone that helps you kind of cover those basics and can give you honest feedback about how you're doing on those calls. Even if you're not making a bunch of calls every day, we use scripts and objections when you're talking to potential clients, when you're talking to your clients. In this market, this is the craziest thing. A conversion, a scripted conversation, is getting your buyer ready to make an offer to win that property. That is a conversion conversation. So you should have a script ready to go for that as well.
I love it. All right. So let's change gears slightly. You have an interesting background for a guy who now runs a 7-figure ISA business. You started off as a Microsoft senior engineer.
Yes.
How did you go from Microsoft senior engineer to real estate to running a call center?
Yeah, I mean, really good question. So for me, I mean, I was trained as an engineer. I've always been kind of a math geek. That's kind of my background. That's my strength. And I was at Microsoft, and at Microsoft, I was there for 10 years. I didn't do a small stint in Microsoft. So I definitely had, a career path and I had a comfort zone there, right? I fell into a comfort zone and I realized that the strengths that I had were only going to take me to a certain level in a company like Microsoft, right? I was good with people, building teams, coaching, motivating, building systems, but more people oriented, more so than technology oriented, right? And I was good at sales. And in an engineer environment, being really good at sales is not always a good thing, right? There's like, oh, whoa, they were kind of, like, oh, this guy's always trying to sell us on stuff. Yeah, I am trying to sell you on stuff. That's what I want to do. I'm like, I get excited about things, right? So my wife got into real estate first. I'm not going to say this was a brilliant idea of mine. And I had tons more fun helping her out nights and weekends than I ever did working at Microsoft. So, I went full time in 2013 and I was going to do a 6-month hiatus to help her build her team in 2013. I never looked back. It's been more than 7 years, almost 8 years now.
And if anyone's watching this, by the way, drop a comment in. If you also, I bet there's a lot of people watching this that came out of other careers and somehow woke up one day and they were in real estate. So for you, you've built this massive organization. You had leadership lessons from Microsoft. Are there lessons you've learned that you wish you hadn't learned, but you
Yes.
had to learn them anyway? Okay. What are some of
Yes.
those?
Absolutely. So, well, and again, in a place like Microsoft, there's a lot of things I learned that I use every day, like building teams, coaching, hiring smart people. I mean, doing big projects, so that stuff is useful. The part that wasn't useful, hasn't been useful, is like the engineering focus on quality, and there's a big focus in those companies, about, I don't want to say perfection, but they're details people, right? And you can get stuck even within Microsoft. You get stuck in analysis paralysis. That's what we know it as, right? Analysis paralysis. You might overthink things sometimes. So that rigor, that engineering rigor, as a business leader, as a business owner, I got to watch out for that. That's a natural tendency of mine, and that's why I was successful at Microsoft. Man, I could go down to details like crazy, right? Hardcore, and we can look at a design and spend hours on it, days on it, months on it, years on it. A single feature of one piece of software, right? You can really go down to the details on that. As a business owner, for certain problems, you got to be able to have that focus, and you got to have the ability to focus at the 10,000-foot level and react to the marketplace as well. And that can happen in a matter. I mean, it happened this year, right? In COVID, the market changed like that, man. The situations on the ground changed from one week to the next, from 1 month to the next. You either adapted to that or you suffered the consequences.
And so when COVID did hit, did it affect your business?
100%. Well, number one, we went all virtual in March. Before the lockdown orders came in our area, everything locked down in the middle of April. Middle of March, I got my team together and said, this when the NBA shut down their season, I guess people remember that weekend. I was like, okay, this is real now, right? This is going to happen. Everything's going to start shutting down. If they were able to shut down that business, $1 billion business, we're probably going to have to shut down, right? A lot of people were in a big room with an AC on, right? So we were a focus of infection. I mean, people were going to get sick, right, if we kept doing what we were doing. So we went 100% virtual. I did not know what was going to happen. I didn't know if we were going to be able to work from home, everybody at the high level, deliver for our clients. I didn't know if my clients were going to be in business from 1 month to the next. So there's a lot of uncertainty, but we adjusted and we went full steam ahead with a virtual model because that was the only way we were going to survive.
And are you able to get the same results from your staff? Because you have a lot of people working for you. Are you able to get the same results whether they're virtual versus working in the office?
That's a nuanced answer. About 90% of the people on my team were able to do as good or better working from home. 10% were not able to make that transition, and they couldn't be at the company anymore because they needed that group environment. They needed that someone looking over their shoulder, kind of a supervision management style, and they I guess the way to say it is, it kind of lacked self-leadership and self-motivation. They needed that environment to thrive, and they couldn't thrive in virtual. So most of the overwhelming majority of my team made the transition, but not everybody.
That's a really large percentage that made the transition, though. I mean, that's really. Were you surprised? Were you surprised, or is that what you expected?
I was the guy that thought that working from home was never going to work before COVID, like working remotely. I didn't want it. I'm like, we work best when we were face to face. This is a people business. It's like a conversation. We got to be training people, motivating them in person. Remote's never going to work. That was me. Come March, I was like, well, now we got to do this 100%, right? There is no middle ground anymore. You're all in. So I was the main blocker of doing this. I was the most surprised person when some people did better, man. I mean, some people more comfortable, they're saving money. They're like, they roll out of bed and get on the phone and they're happier, right? So I'm like, wow, some people really thrive in this environment. Some people did.
So interesting. So do you think you'll ever, assuming COVID is done someday, right? Someday it's going to be done. When it's done, will you go back to running your business the way you did, or will you keep it virtual?
We're not going back. That call center, we gave the keys back to the owner. We're at least not going back to where we were, right? We're no longer renting that space. Yeah. Now we have a team that is 50% distributed all over the country, right? So part of them are in one location. 50% of the company could not go back to where we were before, because now we're recruiting in different areas, different regions, different cities, different experiences. There's no way we're going back, because we found an advantage to this new situation, right? We adapt and found a new way to thrive, which is we're now able to recruit talent. And this is the same for people all over the country, right? You can now have access to talent that you would have had zero access to 6 months ago, a year ago.
100%. We have about a minute left. So What advice would you give to experienced agents? I mean, you work with a ton of agents. You got like 600 agents you guys work with. Power SA is an amazing company. So what would you tell experienced agents if you could tell them like one thing?
If I would tell them one thing, I want to retake what we said earlier, and is have a system in place to cover those fundamentals with your team. Don't you can never and the teams that produce at the highest levels have something like this. They've got those huddles. They have those role play sessions. They've got those weekly team calls where they call each other out. They applaud each other. They talk about what's working, what's not working. So find a way to always talk about those things. Share that knowledge within the team. It's the only way to get those best practices to scale.
I love it. You are so spot on for time. Favorite book you've read in the last year? You got like 20 seconds.
Favorite book? Alexander Hamilton biography by Michael Chernoff. That's a great read.
And do you like the musical Hamilton?
The musical brought me to the book. I have to be honest. I saw the musical, then I got interested in the book.
I love it. And that is right at 10 minutes. I got two little kids, and my 5-year-old is like singing Hamilton songs all the time, man. I love it.
I love it. Huge fan.
So if you guys want to send Gus something nice, send him Hamilton memorabilia. This is like Tyler's cake. Look him up.
And I'm glad I made the call because I'm not throwing away my shot. Made it to this one. Thank you.
There you go. Guys, if you guys get questions for Gus, hit him up. You got his information here. This is 10-Minute Labs brought to you by LCA Elements. You're going to hear more details about Elements coming out early next year. And that's it. I'm going to end this broadcast. You want to hang for a sec, Gus? I got one thing for you. But guys, enjoy your night. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Thanks for being here, man.